What's up, you guys? So today I felt like since I shared some customer service stories, I might as well go ahead and share some specific return desk stories of stuff that has happened to me while running customer service. One of the first things that I can recall happened fairly recently. A lady was trying to return about 6 or 7 individual green peppers. Her reason for returning the peppers, which I did not request a reason, was because she noticed that they were becoming yellow. And I kindly told her, well, it means that this pepper is ripening to its next stage. There are 4 stages to the pepper: green, yellow, orange, red. Red is definitely its absolute ripened form. Orange is really close to being done, and then yellow would be immediately after green. And of course, the red pepper has to be the most expensive one because it takes long for it to reach that stage. And on top of that, it's also the most healthy. And you know that everything healthy has to be expensive for some reason. Well, she was looking at me like in absolute disbelief. I kept telling her and she was like, really? Are you serious? I did not know that. And I am telling you that this is a lady very well either in her late 50s or in her 60s. And she's getting told by a 20-something-year-old what the life of a pepper is like. And I kept telling her and reassuring her that I'm not tripping her, I'm not lying to her, it is true. And at the end of the day, she did not want to believe me, and she added, well, I want for it to get greener. At that point, I just told her, well, I will continue with the refund process, but I would advise that you just go ahead and grab new peppers. And if you intend on consuming them immediately, that would be your best interest, because the longer you take to consume them, the more they will ripen, and you will witness the evolution of the pepper from green to yellow again. And once again, she was in absolute disbelief. She thought that I was tripping her. And then finally, another manager just happens to walk by, and I just tap her on the foot with my foot, and she immediately knew to turn. And yeah, I guess that served as a catalyst for her to just move on with her life, because she just wanted to hang out there. And I'm like, no lady, you got your money back. I explained to you the life of a pepper. Go away. This next story also happened fairly recently, and it was a lady returning a pineapple. Her reason for returning the pineapple was because it was not living up to her standards. She is used to them being juicy and tasty and whatever other adjective you can use to describe this tropical goodness. And she was like, well, this is my first time that I buy this pineapple, especially from here, and it just did not taste good. It was really pale in the inside, and it was just gross. And mind you, this is a lady very easily in her 60s. And then I noticed that the pineapple was greener than the planet is nowadays. I mean, it was just dark green. Absolutely no traces of a golden color in it. I kindly tell her that my suspicions are that this pineapple was not quite ready for consumption. It had not ripened yet. And she was like, this pineapple is just bad, because I grew up on pineapples. And I was like, well, I humbly recommend that you look for one that is very golden this time around. And if you cannot find one that is golden, just let it sit for a few days and it will get golden. And I assure you that the deliciousness will accompany it. Well, she just pretty much kept arguing, and she said, yeah, I'm gonna try to buy a new pineapple, but maybe the batch that you got is bad. And then I said, all right, I'll make a note of your concern. Later on, I go to a colleague who I'm very close with, and I'm like, I will ask you an agree or disagree question. Are you ready? He goes, "Mm-hmm. A pineapple that is golden is ready for consumption and is ripe and delicious and juicy and will be your best choice." He says, "I agree." And then I'm like, well, what if I told you that a very, very green ass pineapple just got returned to me and it was cited as disgusting? And this person works in that department too. And then he had the most brilliant reply ever, which was after I told him that she said that she had grown up on pineapple and therefore was very savvy about them. He said, "Just because you grew up on pineapples doesn't mean you were the one picking it." The world is normal. Another story that I have was, this didn't exactly happen at the returns desk, but a lady pretty much came up to me and she was like, "Hey, can you help me pick up a good basil?" And I'm like, "Sure." So we head over to where basil is supposed to be. And she insists that she got it out of a refrigerated rack just because she recognizes the brand, and that the container that some other herbs are presented in also located in this section in the cooler. And she is like, "I think you're out of stock, but can you find out for me?" And I'm like, "I'm pretty sure that you will never find basil that's refrigerated because it just does not like to be cold, but I'll be glad to inquire if we have any more than the ones that we have on display on this side," which would be the shelf-stable counter, just room temperature, ambient table. And then she goes, "Oh, you have the actual living plant. I would like for it to not be the living plant. I just want for it to be in like a plastic container, a very small amount." So I inquire about it, and the way I inquire about it is I ask the people in the produce area, "Hey, do you have basil that is refrigerated?" And they go, "It's never refrigerated." And the lady keeps insisting and swearing that she got it out of the refrigerated section. In my mind, that was saying the worst thing that happened there is probably someone just grabbed it and they saw that the containers and brands were similar to the other herbs, and then someone decided to just throw it back there on a section of the shelf that happened to be empty. But they didn't look at the tag, they didn't look at the sticker because that's not their concern, and then that basil just hung out there until you grabbed it. But anyways, don't get in an argument with me. If I say that basil is not refrigerated, just take my word for it and move on with your life, because I actually work here and I know what happens with product. This one did not happen at the returns desk, but it happened while I was on a register, and it was, I start ringing this man up. I remember him wearing a hat, and I remember how tall he was and everything, but I really do not remember his face very well. When I asked him, "How was your shopping? Was everything okay?" He goes, "Well, I'm disappointed because I went to your seafood department and I learned that y'all don't carry grass-fed oysters." I said, "On that one, I'm not sure because I'm not very familiar with that department and how they source their stuff. But I have never seen or heard of such a thing. So therefore, I'm confident that that is something that's just not happening." And to me, the moral of that story is that I guess when something becomes a buzzword, people just roll with it, but they really don't stop to ask themselves why. It's like, "Oh, this is the new healthy, this is the new black, this is the new trend. I'm going to jump right on it." And I shared with my colleagues the story, and my favorite response was, see, we didn't find any in the field this morning." Good one. And then finally, another returns desk episode that happened to me was I had this lady return 2 bottles of a particularly expensive supplement. Her claim was that she was returning them because they were simply not good. And I'm like, "All right, where's the product?" And she goes, "I don't have it, I just have the bottle." And I'm like, "Okay, where is the bottle with product in it? If you're returning something, I need to have the product." And then she goes, "Oh, well, I used it all up." And I'm like, did she say there was like a quality concern with it? My way of saying that she had said that they weren't good. Does it mean that they did not work on you and you're dissatisfied with the product? Or does it mean that the product did not work on you because you said they're bad for you? Does that mean that they're incompatible with you? Or that the product itself was bad? Because if it's bad, I have to report it. Well, she kept saying, yeah, I just didn't like it. And I'm like, you did not like the $60 supplement and you're returning it with the bottle empty. So what I decided to do was I gave her credit for just one, since the other one happened to have some product in it. And then I said, in the future, I am going to also need for the receipt to be accompanied with this. And of course, because she started to lose her mind, I decided to reach out to a manager, and they completely backed me up, and they said, yeah, in the future we would like for you to have a receipt and whatnot. Please make sure that the bottle has product in it. Now my concern is that she's probably going to buy two again, maybe dispense some from the new bottle, from the second bottle into the first bottle, and then say this one has product in it. And I'm like, nobody ever consumes two bottles of the same thing simultaneously. In a short period of time, you end up with this dosage as a remainder. It's not like I try to pick fights with people, but you gotta understand that if you're purchasing something that's pricey like that and you're returning it, usually a return happens because there is something wrong with the product or you made a mistaken purchase. But for you to just make it a habit, because this person is there returning things habitually, you make a habit of returning empty bottles of supplements, some of the most expensive items in the store that are like grocery related, it gets kind of weird. Those are some of my returns desk stories. I hope you enjoyed them. Let me know if you ever worked behind the customer service desk dealing with returns, and what were some of the stories that you heard. I am eager, because the more that I think I have heard everything that there is to hear at the returns desk, the more that I am impressed by people. Alright guys, thanks so much for tuning in, and I will see you soon.